Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing? My name is Mike Dewan, here with the Region Sports Network. Alongside me is Jay Simmons. The gun show is in effect here on this Thursday evening, coming to you live from the Athletic Performance Factory. This is episode 14, if you could believe it, Jay, of Region Football Weekly, all made possible by Tire Pros in Merrillville. We are more than tires, semi-state, Jay. It was quite a week of regionals last go around, but now we're here. It is almost Turkey Day in the bowl. That'll be a week here from now. We'll be stuffing ourselves with Thanksgiving dinners. But right now, Jay, it's Thursday evening. At least one last Thursday evening for us in this kind of schedule. How we doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to semi-state. I'm looking forward to us covering some games tomorrow. It's going to be a great Friday night.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have as well. We have some teams in the dance not too far from each other as well.
How about it? We don't have a game in Lake County all last weekend, and then now we've got a block from each other, a couple blocks from each other on Broad Street there.
Make us absolutely work for it, but we're excited. It makes our job super, super fun to be, with familiar territory. So, yes, we'll talk about some games. We'll also cover, of course, as well on the Region Sports Network come tomorrow night. It all starts, of course, with the regional round. But again, thank you all for tuning in. Region Football Weekly. Mike DeWan, Jay Simmons, Zach Miller is here as well in studio at the Athletic Performance Factory. But we got to start it with Week 13. Again, as you know, we'll go from 1A and we'll work our way up to the 6A class while pumping the brakes on a few local teams and some games we could definitely dive a little bit more into. LaVille lost to Pioneer at the 1A Northern Regional up there. 34-14 was that final score in favor of the Panthers. The Starfires won a close one of South Adams against North Miami. The Warriors of North Miami, 25-22. Those two will duke it out to decide the Northern semi-state winner in the class of 1A. At the 2A class, a game that was on the Region Sports Network, on the Champions Network, if you want to catch that video. We also had, of course, the audio broadcast on our usual feed. But a shootout, Jay, in this one, 52-32. Andrean, surprisingly enough, it was a game, of course, that put up a lot of points. They scored in all three phases. The defensive game, where you look at 32 and it's, okay, a little bit of, not a concern, but just an unfamiliar territory. We haven't seen that from Andrean since about week one. But nonetheless, Andrean punches their ticket to, again, a semi-state round, now making it back-to-back regional titles.
Yeah, great job. And you said a defensive score, a special team score, offensive score. How often do you see that in a game, Mike? And Andrean just racking up the points, and great offensive night for them as well. I mean, you had Tyler Bowe, 11 catches, 155 yards, and a TD. I mean, that's what a great night right there. You got Javier McCoy, 2 TDs, a pick six, and one on the ground. Boom. I mean, just points after points after points. And I did predict Andrean to win, and it would be a high-scoring game, so kudos. I'm getting one of them right tonight.
Score one for Jay Simmons on that one. 52-32 is the final score. Yeah, McCoy had quite the game. He was a guy that was kind of banged up last year as a freshman, now as a sophomore, kind of finding his footing, getting back to what was a fun playoff run last year for him, now following suit. You mentioned Vo, of course, 11 catches, a big fantasy day for those playing high school football fantasy out there as well. The sophomore, just fantastic.
How about the defensive side? You had Avery Statter with only 82 yards in the game, 1,784 yards on the season, and they just put a stifling on him. What a great defense.
Southmont was a team that could really run the football, and you said Stadler, just one of those bell cows that kind of got Southmont to the position they were as of last week, and that for that Andrean defense, Jay, it's a challenge for them to welcome in a rusher like that. We'll kind of see something similar come tomorrow night. Brady Stovall, Ethan Reyna, and Brady Elish as well also scored touchdowns. Gavin Jones as well started the second half with a bang with a kick-off return touchdown. Kudos to the Niners who punched their ticket. And they will be playing the Adams Central Flying Jets, who got the job done. Once again, a team that is the top-ranked team in the 2A class, 42-28 over the Eastbrook Panthers. We'll talk, of course, about the Flying Jets a little bit later in our program. A game we get to pump the brakes on at the 3A class because it's a team we are definitely enamored with, more so about the history that's being made, not only in the trophy case where Knox is in that golden era, if you will, but also what's Miles McLaughlin doing? How many yards? How many touchdowns did he have? nonetheless, most importantly, Jay, they got the win, 28-21 over the Angola Hornets.
Well, you wouldn't believe, I was out watching the Notre Dame and the IU game on Saturday, and 3 or 4 different people I don't even know. They just know me from Region Sports. They go, "Hey, how many yards did Miles McLaughlin need? How many yards does he got to go?" And I'm like, well, I didn't see this, the number, but so many people are enamored, like you said, with just what's going on with him and Knox football.
Well, let's give you the numbers, why don't we?
Yeah.
In that 28-21 win, he had 53 carries, 373 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Those 4 touchdowns, I believe he only needed 2 to set the national single-season touchdown record. I believe he broke Charlie Spiegel's record of New Palestine, who set that not too long ago. So history was made at Knox. He also had an interception, led the team with 9 tackles. In case that wasn't enough, a facepalm from Jay Simmons. But more importantly, he'll tell you this as well. They got the win and their 2nd regional title in program history. You ought to build, and he'll tell you otherwise. Of course, the offensive lineman does great things with him to get to these numbers. But it starts with Miles McLaughlin, now getting recognized by colleges as well. I saw he's recently upgraded to a 3-star recruit. I think he was a 0-star, kind of a 1-star for quite some time now. It's okay, seeing these numbers, impressive to see what he's doing. So college coaches are finally hopping on board. But he'll tell you right away, the win is what matters, and that's what impressive to see from a character like that.
And you look at Miles McLaughlin and you think, okay, he's making 9 tackles, had an interception. Do I play him on offense? Do I play him on defense? Do I play him on defense and then use him as a punt returner or a kickoff returner? Where are you going to place this guy when you get him in a college level? Now, he may not go the big-time Division I, but, at a 1AA or Division II, it's like, where do you place this guy? It's going to be – it's the coach that gets this kid is going to have some fun trying to figure out where they want him on the field.
And, again, he's more importantly, although don't want to look too much in this aspect where there is a bigger goal to play in the Dome, but he buys himself another week for those looking out there for the record books and seeing what he can do, buying himself another 4 quarters of football. They will be taking on Fort Wayne Lures, a powerhouse out there, 14-7. They got the win at the host, the Twin Lakes Indians. Moving up to 4A, a game that I fortunately was at, a fun game over there in South Bend between the Hobart Brickies and the South Bend St. Joseph Huskies. And South Bend St. Joseph, although a basketball school, they got they won a little bit of hardware on the football side. 10-7 was the final score, and Jay, at this point of the season, you don't really want to be playing your worst brand of football, at least offensively or defensively, and kind of at least my grasp of it, it was tough sledding. A great defense over there, South Bend St. Joseph. They were kind of similar to something we'd see from Andrain, where they'd give you a bunch of different looks, a lot of guys that spend a lot of time in the opposing team's backfield, and they made Hobart life really tough. They scored. Hobart's lone touchdown of the game came from a pick from Stephen Miller and then punched it in for Max Pickett. But outside of that, Hobart had 97 total yards of offense. Just one of those days, Jay, where, again, it's still a close game. The defense kept them in it, but South Bend St. Joseph ultimately made a couple more plays.
Yeah, quarterback Tatum was 4 for 15, 26 yards. That's just not a night you want at this level in an interception. So, boy, what a great defense! And I knew it was going to be a low-scoring game. I just didn't know, because I think what my prediction was: Hobart 17, South Bend St. Joe 14. Yeah. Yes. So I knew it was going to be a close game. I knew it was going to be low-scoring. I just didn't realize it was going to be 10-7 on the wrong end.
Yes, South Bend St. Joseph, a couple solid playmakers on both sides of the football. A team that really kind of made most of their money running the football. Their lone touchdown of the ball game actually came on a double pass, kind of a Philly special, if you will, a perfectly thrown football. And that was the deciding factor. Hobart had the lead 7-3 at one point, and South Bend obviously scored in that third quarter and just about rode that wave. But now we look at Hobart, and although we'll talk about South Bend's upcoming matchup, we got to kind of put a bow on Hobart.
That's right.
And this is a team that their first sectional title, Jay, since 2020, to get some hardware back in those trophy cases. I'm sure it made the Bricky faithful feel fine. But now we look at those pieces that they're going to lose. They graduate Preston Perez, a piece that was a two-way guy that played those brute positions and didn't kind of offer that brute stature, but just a guy with heart, a guy that was spoken very highly of from Coach Eric Schreiber Jr., a player we got to talk with in the summer. And he starts there. Josh Diaz as well, Logan Peters, Max Pickett, some guys we heard all throughout Friday nights, but a very, very strong returning cast for this Hobart squad that the second year, of course, of a new head coach, Eric Shriver Jr., and to see, obviously, get a title in your trophy case and build up a little bit more of that Hobart pride, that Bricky pride, and now a strong returning cast. Again, a successful season, of course, you're going to want the fans, of course, are always going to want more at Hobart, but nonetheless, positive outlook moving forward here, Jim.
And you look at this season, you go 10-3. Your losses are to Andran and Lowell, and then of course South Bend St. Joe to cap it off. But you're right, dude. What a great season they had. They have nothing to be ashamed of. Great job by Coach Schreiber, and now he's got this program just building one more step. So he's got this thing going in the right direction. And you look at some of the guys that are returning. I mean, it's going to be a great roster come back next year.
Some non-seniors that potentially will
Alex
be returning.
Tatum especially.
It starts with the quarterback, Alex Tatum, Bryce Tolliver, Aiden Cash, Stephen Miller, Nathan Subchinski, Von Jones, TJ Irvin, just to name a few. A lot of guys that played some of those two-way starters as well. Good to see them back, hopefully, for one more season, which will hopefully make for a successful 2026. But it's the Huskies of South Bend St. Joseph punching their ticket to the semi-state round, their first regional title since 2015. They will take on Fort Wayne Dwenger as the Saints beat the Lebanon Tigers 39-27. Up at the 5A class, a game between two local teams here, two Duneland teams. The Merrillville Pirates, although they had the rematch, they saw this team earlier in the season, took care of business then, took care of business now, Jay. 34-14 was the final score. Merrillville, once again, they seem to really kind of catch their stride at this time. Again, it was a tough start to the season in terms of their opponents. They lose to Loyola, they lose to Crown Point, and now they are here, their third straight semi-state title.
And look at, you got Michael Hill, 18 for 25, 117 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Cameron Jordan, 166 yards and 3 touchdowns. Great job by the offensive line. I knew it was going to be a high-scoring game, and I just thought Merrillville was going to be a little bit too much for him. So, hey, I was 2-1 last week. All right.
We're in the green, if they, as they say, right, Jay? Big shout-out to Stanley Freeman as well, holding it down defensively. 8 tackles, 4 of them coming for a loss, and it was not just him, and ultimately getting the win against Michigan City, a team that puts up points on the board. But now, Jay, we'll talk about Merrillville later in the show, but as you did with Hobart, we got to talk about the Michigan City and what was a fun season for them. Their first sectional title since 2021, a team that kind of rebounded off of last year. I think the storyline for them heading into the year was a lot of those, with a 3-7 record last year, Jay, a lot of those games were one score. And to see what this team has done this year, winning a sectional title and playing Merrillville pretty tough.
That's right.
Big shout out to them this year.
Yeah, definitely. You go 8-4, 5-2 in the Duneland Conference. You lose to Crown Point. You lose to Merrillville twice. You lose to Lafayette, Jeff. And then on top of it, you got Hart, their quarterback, 96 carries, 893 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns. Passing wise, 162 for 240, 2,525 yards, 21 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions on the season. That's going to be a tough one for Michigan City to replace.
Yeah, it may end up being a challenging year in terms of at least looking on paper here, Jay, when, yes, you return a quarterback who our peak performers are coming out around 7 o'clock this evening. Spoiler alert, Trinniston Hart is second in the area in passing to the quarterback he lost to, Michael Hill Jr. The leading receiver as well will not be back in action for the Wolves, Zaire McKinney. He will be taking his talents to Northern Illinois as well.
68 catches, 1,264 yards, 11 touchdowns.
I believe the yards at least was a program record.
That's a record probably for most programs as a receiver at the high school level. What a great season those two had together.
Yeah, it's an absolute connection. And also, not to spoil the peak performers once again, but the leading tackler, Ethan Buskirk, leading tackler in the area. I believe he was north of 160 in tackles this year. Just a good piece to have on your defense. Daquan Fields as well. A couple others, but Jay, again, you don't want to look too far ahead into 2026. But yes, you lose those senior leaders you relied a lot on. Now it's for those younger guys to step up here and get ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. And it's when you got a program that's gone 8-4 like this, so now it's going to be a little bit easier to recruit guys in the hallway. And I'm sure that the hallways at Michigan City are full of athletes, and they're going to see these guys moving on to the next level. It's going to be a lot easier for Coach to get some guys out.
Yeah, big shout out to Cody French once again for, again, a 3-7 record last year to kind of rebound and get to a sectional title and take Merrillville, play them fairly well. Big shout out to what the Wolves did in 2025. 25. But the Merrillville Pirates punch their ticket. We'll talk about them later as they will take on the Concord Minutemen, who won a shootout, got the slight upset there, I guess we could call it, at home, 47-45, a good one over there. I know we had our eyes on that one on the Region Sports Network. At the 6A level, we'll keep it brief with the big dogs, but Fort Wayne Carroll took down the Penn Kingsmen 41-30, and Westfield beat the Fishers Tigers 20-10. That'll do it for Week 13 action. Next up, the NCC All-Conference selections came out. We'll show that next year on Region Football Weekly, all made possible by Tire Pros in Merrillville on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Hi, my name is Mark Macknick. I'm the owner of Mark Macknick CPA firm in Highland, Indiana on Kennedy Avenue. I've been working with Region Sports for years now. Started working with Chris years ago, just on some special projects, advertising here and there. After a while, kind of increased the advertising. Mainly was doing it for the community involvement. It's such a great network and program they do with the high school sports. But as time went by, I started getting on there more frequently, and then the phone starts ringing, and I was getting calls all the time from people. Hey, I saw your ad on so-and-so football game. I saw your ad on a basketball game. And it's really helped my business. It's increased the volume. We're a tight community in Northwest Indiana, sports-wise, and just a lot of community involvement. So that's mainly why I got into it. I remember watching one game. It was a basketball game, and I think there was a little bit of an altercation. And as the altercation was happening, my ad was right on the bottom, and someone typed in, "I wonder what Mark Macknick's thinking right now." And I was thinking, wow, this is awesome. It's really been a great feature for my business. It's the only advertising I do. I don't advertise anywhere else other than Region Sports. It's for the business, but mainly for the involvement with the community. I played high school baseball here in Highland, and ever since I've been advertising on Region Sports, a lot of my old coaches are now my clients. A lot of my old teammates come in here. My recommendation, if you're a business here in Northwest Indiana, I think Region Sports is, for your money, it's one of the best places that you can advertise. I mean, I can advertise on billboards. I could do anywhere I want to. And I choose Region Sports, mainly because I get a lot of feedback, especially on the high school level. A lot of the parents, if they can't make a game, they're watching it online. They're watching a replay, the grandparents. So it's done wonders for my business, and it's my go-to for advertising. It's the only spot I would advertise. So if you're a business owner in the area, really look into advertising on Region Sports. It's going to be well worth your money, and you'll make tenfold on what you're spending. Region Sports Network, they're the only game in town, but they're more than just a game.
Back here for Region Football Weekly, live from the Center Bank studio at the Athletic Performance Factory, all made possible, of course, by Tire Pros in Merrillville. Jay Simmons is here. I am Mike Dewan. Zach Miller is our producer. Jay, haircuts. You and haircuts go hand in hand, and we know just the place where to go. Hit me.
Hey, it's the holiday season. It's time to look good. Go to Level Up on the Booksy app and look up Big C, Big L, and Axel and book your appointment. They're right across the street from the Crown Lantern Man here in Highland, Indiana, on Kennedy Avenue. Look them up. Get the app. And get those guys to get your hair, get a fresh cut, because I know I need one right before the holiday season starts.
Right across the street from the Superhero Award of the game, but yes, cannot miss them. Feel free to check them out. They're busy, too, as well, especially this time of year when you got Thanksgiving right around the corner, Christmas, too, as well.
So definitely book your appointment. They have times open from 9 to 6 o'clock, so book your appointment.
Yeah, we got the Thanksgiving coming up, too, as well, Jay. Before we get into the NCC All-Conference selections, we got to figure out what our show plans are next week. I may not have the chance to ask you this question, but Thanksgiving dishes. Give me your top 3 dishes. Actually, give me a side. Give me, are you a turkey guy or maybe a dessert as well?
No desserts. Let's see.
Desserts?
No desserts.
What's this guy?
Mashed potatoes with gravies go number 1 on the side.
Okay.
Dark meat on the turkey.
All right.
And Well, I'm going to have to go with
No desserts, I guess another side or whatever.
definitely the maybe like a green bean casserole.
Good man, good man. Got a nod of approval as well from our producer Zach Miller.
My mouth was already starting to water.
That was a mistake. Here you can get we got a full menu though as well here at the Athletic Performance Factory in the newly opened Diamond Plate Eatery and Pub. So feel free to come on down. They're open just about all week.
That's
as
right.
well, kind of a new spot here in Northwest Indiana. All right, enough about food. Let's go to the all-conference selections in the NCC. We showed the Duneland last week. I think 2 weeks ago we also showed the GSSC. But got to give kudos to the NCC and what was a fun race overall. Again, it's important kind of who finishes where in the conference, Jay, because you get X amount of selections if you're first and X amount of selections if you're not first. It kind of makes its way down.
Okay.
So, and Drain, of course, they had the most selections, obviously, with the outright champs, but we can pull that up on the screen as you see there. Yeah, big shout out to all of those athletes all across the board. More importantly, I could even shout out the Coach of the Year, Casey McKim, did a lot of great things with Lowell. Jay, we could start with them, Lowell. We would talk about them, of course, when they were eliminated maybe a few weeks ago, but just a well-deserved award there in the NCC with Casey McKim.
Yeah, and definitely, just sort of creeped out of nowhere. Every week we saw them play, or the scores play out, and all of a sudden you see them racking up win after win after win. Of course, they're going to lose that first game to Crown Point. Who doesn't, right? But once they got over that hurdle, it seemed like they just caught a head of steam and just had a great season with a couple losses here and there. But overall, a great job, especially for a first-year head coach.
No doubt about it. And alongside him, Lincoln Schneider won Defensive Player of the Year. The senior linebacker was up there with Ethan Buskirk of Michigan City for the top tacklers in the region. And the Offensive Player of the Year was the aforementioned Alex Tatum, who will be back in action for the Brickies come next year. Got to give a big shout-out to Owen Burns and the Burns family. I played with Joey Burns at Munster. He was the punter of the year in the NCC, so big shout-out to those guys. Love to see Owen put that work in, as well as Dylan Basacci, another Lowell Red Devil, has ice in his veins, had a big kick against the Hobart Brickies, I believe, to beat them as time expired, and he won Most Valuable Kicker. That'll do it for the NCC. Big shout-out to all those all-conference nods. Jay and I will be back here on Region Football Weekly to break down what's at stake all across the state for the semi-state championships. You are watching Region Football Weekly on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Ava, let's go.
Try it on.
The shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Hi.
That's why we're committed to fighting hunger in our communities. Until everyone has a reason to smile. Strack and Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
Hi, I'm Crowd Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowd Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowd Companies, insurance professionals. Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
From lighting up Friday Night Football to powering the classrooms that shape the students of Lake County, IBEW Local 697 is proud to support our region's schools and the communities we call home. A career as a union electrician could be your next great move. Your next cap might be a hard hat. IBEW Local 697, powering futures, powering the region.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialists.
Hi, this is Tim down at Tire Pros and Auto Superstore, 5200 Cleveland in Merrillville. 219-887-3333 is our phone number. We've been serving the region and building relationships with our valued customers for the past 23 years. We have a wide variety of services, quality tires with the best warranty in the nation, and some of the most skilled mechanics I've ever worked with. Let us exceed your expectations. We're setting a new standard. Come on down, ask for Mike or Tim. We'll take excellent care of you. Thank you.
At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT. Back here live at the Athletic Performance Factory for Region Football Weekly, episode 14. Time to break down some semi-state games. Jay Simmons, I'm Mike DeWan, Zach Miller, also in the house. We'll move up from 1A to 6A. We're going to skip a couple games and save it for our last segment. Some games we'll have on the Region Sports Network, but more so talking about what's at stake for some of these squads, and more importantly, Jay, a chance to make history come tomorrow night.
Yeah, some of these teams have not been to state, so it's going to be a fun night for a lot of teams. It's going to be a sad night last time some of these guys put on the equipment. But you got to think, hey, in my class, I've made it to the final 4 teams in the state. So you got nothing to be ashamed of. And something for guys that are returning next year, something to build on for the future.
It's something that only 24 teams could really experience all throughout the year. And yes, you don't want to fall short of playing on the professional field, playing in a dome, playing at Lucas Oil Stadium, but it's impressive to get to this point this deep into the season. So we'll start it off on the north side of these classes and then obviously talk about the south side. Pioneer is at South Adams. Pioneer, the third-ranked team in the coaches' poll at the end of Week 9. They're looking for their first semi-state since 2018, and they're 6th overall, while South Adams coming in at 10 in that final poll. Only one semi-state to their name, 0 state titles. We'll see this a little bit, Jay, but a team that's kind of been there before, and obviously you'll have a community and maybe some coaches out as well from previous staffs that have been around the block, while you have kind of this other team like South Adams in this case where, hey, we're happy to get to the dance first time since 2020. Just trying to get to their, again, state title game and really a chance to make some history.
Well, and you got to think, hey, if I'm South Adams, I don't want to rest on my laurels. Hey, we made it this far. Great. Now is the time to be focused and really getting those guys jacked up and ready to play the tough Pioneer team that's been used to going past this level.
Yeah, they had quite an impressive stretch in the late 2010s, and again, they're looking for their first since 2018, trying to get back on track, while the Starfires of South Adams hope to punch their ticket to the Luke. South Putnam will be at Milan. South Putnam coming in at 2 in the poll. Their third their semi-state title is what they are looking for. Their first only since 2002, and only one state title to their name, coming all the way back in 1986, while I think the one unranked team out of these 24 teams we'll talk about is Milan. They recently, as their second regional title, their first since 1996. They're looking for their first semi-state title. Team of destiny, if you will, a team that kind of coaches overlook. And Milan, obviously, to be back at home trying to make some more history after, obviously, getting their first regional title since 1996.
And you got to be excited for Milan. They're at home. They're the only unranked team to be playing at this point in time. You got to be fired up. If there's an underdog, this is the story to follow right here.
Standing room only at that one downstate. Moving up to 2A, we'll keep it brief on Adams Central at Andrea. And Adams Central, cream of the crop there at the 2A class. They're trying to make some history. They were state champs last year, hoping to follow suit, while Andrea, obviously we talked a lot about them and we will talk a lot about them, of course, moving forward. They're coming in at 4 in the poll at post week 9. They're looking for their 9th semi-state title, their first since 2022. And Brownstown Central will be at LaPel. Brownstown, the top 4 teams at the post week 9 poll in the class of 2A, all are in this round, which is super, super rare. It's super, super cool to see Brownstown Central. They're coming in at 2 in the poll, 0 semi-state titles despite being ranked that highly, and they're 0-3 all-time in semi-state games, while LaPel are coming in at 3rd in the poll. They also 0 semi-state titles to their name, so somebody's O has to go, Jay. And that's
right. And again, you don't want to harp on it, but both of these teams in uncharted territory, exciting for both of these schools. I'm sure that the towns are going to be shut down and be at the game.
Yeah, right. All your Friday plans directed to what's going on at LaPel High School. LaPel also won their first regional title in program history just this past Friday. Up at 3A, Knox will take on a powerhouse in Fort Wayne. Luers Knox coming in at 5 in that post-week 9 poll. One of 2 unbeatens in the class of 3A, one we'll talk about later in this little segment. Knox, again, it's been a golden era for them. They've obviously back regional title in 2023, regional title just this past Friday, but still that elusive that first semi-state title. I believe Knox's head coach Russ Radke also has a chance to keep adding to his history to potentially lead a different school to the state finals. Got to go again against a tough Fort Wayne Luers squad.
And you got to look at Miles McLaughlin. Only needs 364 yards to break Derrick Henry's national career preps rushing yard record. And last week, I was sort of glancing back last week, he had, 373 yards. So if he has a game like he did last week, he could be a record breaker. But I think if you're at Fort Wayne, do you go after Miles McLaughlin and force the team to hand it off to somebody else or give somebody else the ball? Or do you take everything else away and then just force Miles McLaughlin to carry the team on his back?
And one thing that could benefit Luers, although, again, Miles McLaughlin and the Knox Redskins and Russ Radke trying to punch their ticket to what would be a historical win. Luers has been here before, although they are ranked 10th in that post-week 9 poll, Jay. They're looking for their 19th semi-state title in program history. Knox has 0, and Luers is trying to three-peat, win their 3rd straight semi-state title. So a team that's been here quite a bit, Fort Wayne Luers and the Knox Redskins, who are trying to punch through and get down to Circle City.
And the good thing for Knox is you got Russ Radke on the sidelines. You got a guy that experienced, that's been here, is not going to be overwhelmed by the game. And once he gets that sense of relaxation and just don't be overpowered by the moment in time by his players, I think they're going to be fine. It's just, can you get through the first quarter and just weather the storm and then get into the flow, and then all of a sudden now you let your star player take over from there.
How crazy is that? Trying to lead is, I think, 4th different school to the state finals. He did it with Griffith, did it with North Judson, New Prairie, and potentially the Knox Redskins. We'll find out tomorrow. Gibson Southern will take on Cascade. Gibson Southern coming in at 2. They beat the unanimous number 1 team, Evansville Memorial, not too long ago, while Cascade is 3 in the poll. They are the 2nd of 2 unbeatens in the class of 3A. Up at 4A, we talked about South Bend St. Joseph beating the Hobart Brickies. They're coming in at 11 in the poll after the regular season concluded. They're looking for their 5th semi-state title, their first since 2011, but they'll have to go through Dwenger, a team that's been here before, seeking their 11th semi-state, their first since 2018. Heritage Hills coming in at 2 in the poll, according to the Indiana Football Coaches Association, looking to go back-to-back, win state once again. 2 straight semi-state titles, 5 overall. Indianapolis-Roncalli will host Heritage Hills, 7 in the poll. They're looking for their 14th semi-state crown, their first since 2020. Concord takes on the Merrillville Pirates, a game we'll talk about later in the show about Concord, potentially their 4th semi-state title, their first since 2006. 0 state titles to their name, while Merrillville, we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, but this is a round they've been to quite a few times, Jay,
that's right,
and looking to punch through, get over the hump, as we kind of keep hearing all throughout the Merrillville community. Down south, Bloomington South will travel to New Palestine. Bloomington South, 3 in the poll, seeking their 4th semi-state title. They're first since '98, but they take on a team that's been there, the number one team in the class, the New Palestine Dragons, looking for their 7th semi-state title, trying to go back-to-back in the 5A class to win the state title, potentially.
That's one tough cookie to crack right there, because you think about those kids, how many games they played in over the last year. And I remember when I talked to some of the coaches that were at Andrean and went back-to-back titles or win back-to-back state times, and they just said the kids, by the time they got back to that second state title game, that the guys were just wore out and how much they had played over a period of time. Now, you're talking different classes, and you're talking, 2A and 5A.
Sure.
Now, a lot of kids in 2A are playing both ways, where in 5A, not as many. So hopefully they're going to be fresh and ready to go.
Yeah, 15-game season, of course, is always the goal. 15 or 14 game, depending on if you have a buy-in there with those bigger schools. But nonetheless, it's a long season, obviously. And it really wears and tears on you, like you said. Up at 6A, Westfield takes on Fort Wayne Carroll. Carroll coming off that win against Penn. Westfield's 5 in the poll to Carroll's 11. Carroll seeking their 2nd semi-state title, their first since 2022, while Westfield trying to go back-to-back in the state finals and seeking their 7th overall semi-state crown. Warren Central and Brownsburg will duke it out down south. Brownsburg, another top team in the class in 6A, the lone unbeaten, if you will, trying to go back-to-back in the state finals. And Warren Central, another team that is always going to be in the mix, looking for their 10th semi-state crown and their first since 2018. You can find all of those scores on the hometown scoreboard, courtesy of your neighborhood Strack and Van Til Food Market. We'll have all the games going on throughout the entirety of the state, so we'll cover much ground come tomorrow night. We got 2 games on the Region Sports Network, but Jay and I will break down that after the break. You are watching Region Football Weekly on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Level up your haircut at Level Up Barber Lounge in Highland. With over 30 years of combined experience, walk in today and get treated by some of the best in the business. To book an appointment, call 219-513-9083 or hit up Big Al, Big C, or Axel at the Booksy app or webpage. Head to Level Up Barber Lounge in Highland for a well-executed cut like a well-executed play.
Old Man Winter is just around the corner, and that means temperatures will soon begin to drop. And a region winter is not the time to be left out in the cold. The professionals at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling can tune up that old furnace or install a new unit that can last for years. Your family deserves to stay comfortable this winter, and with 24/7 emergency service, comfort is just a phone call away. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, 219-923-4441. Or for more info, the website is forajobdoneright.com.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I've received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
Flip the switch, a light turns on. Press the button, machines and instruments come to life. Touch the screen, communicate with the world. Simple tasks, guaranteed results, every second of every day. That's the power of power. And that's the power brought to you by the NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 531.
Calling all current and future homeowners in the Northwest Indiana area. Whether you're buying or selling, Brent Wright is here to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. With years of experience, personalized service, and a deep knowledge of the market, Brent will help you find the perfect place or get the best deal for your property. Call today at 219-406-7195 and take the first step toward your real estate goals. Contact Brent Wright, the right way to buy and sell real estate.
Back here for episode 14 of Region Football Weekly, all made possible by Tire Pros in Merrillville. We are more than tires. Mike DeWan, Jay Simmons here for our final segment of the evening. 2 games on the Region Sports Network, some fan appreciation freebies when we get to this point in the tournament. We're going to have stuff on Facebook and on YouTube and on regionsports.com. There'll be audio broadcasts, but to give support, obviously, to everybody that made this season possible.
right.
It's a long season, Jay, for the players. It's a long season kind of in this side of the coin as well for us as media members, which we're
Yes,
super
it is.
excited to be a part of it. But you guys make it all possible.
Yes, it is, and we appreciate everybody that's going to be listening to our broadcast tomorrow night. It's going to be great. Two great games. Like I said, a mile apart on Broadway Street.
Yeah, we could just about yell to each other. We'll have a lot of fun. Yeah, spoiler alert, but I bet you could have all probably imagined what our two games would become tomorrow, being from obviously Northwest Indiana and having two teams. Probably, I mean, we could probably stoop down to Indy and see what two schools have had closer semi-state games, but I don't know. I think up here, I couldn't imagine a pair of schools being closer and hosting semi-state games, obviously, of course, on the same week.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You got to think, I mentioned it earlier, we didn't even have a game in Lake County last weekend, and now you got two, and they're only a few blocks away.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, but we'll start what's going on at Andrean High School as the Fighting 59ers will host Adams Central. That game will kick off around 7 o'clock. The other game on the Region Sports Network will be at 6:30, so watch out for that. But the Flying Jets come flying to Father Eckert Field to take on Andrean, two teams that duked it out last year, and it was pretty much all Flying Jets in that one. Got to a big lead. Andrean tried to come back, but the Adams Central Flying Jets, this is a team that's going a couple yards in a cloud of dust, Jay. Going to be a fun one nonetheless to see these two teams duke it out one more Friday night.
Hey, you got to think that it's going to be a quick one, so don't bat an eye. If they're going to run that ball, we've heard and we've seen that they run the wing tee to perfection.
Yeah, to be exact, run-heavy offense, 3,513 rushing yards on the season. That's an average of 6.8 yards per carry. They also throw the football a little bit as well.
Just enough to keep you off balance.
To keep you on your toes. But like you said, Jay, an offense like that, again, that could pound the rock. You know what you're getting with them. We talked about it with Knox, and you could scheme for it. You know what's coming, but can you stop it? At Adams Central, they kind of hold themselves to that standard.
And one of the keys to the game is going to be can Andrean be effective on staying within their keys defensively, making sure you tackle every guy, every play. That's going to be one of the keys to the game, because if you can get them behind the chains just a little bit, it could be a long night for Adams Central. They average 6.8 yards per carry. That is crazy numbers. And then just under 1,000 yards passing, so they do enough. And I haven't seen them playing it, but if they do it on awkward downs, like say they get the midfield and throw it on first down, they do a little play action, they could sneak in a big play right there in the passing game. And they've got 14 touchdowns through the air, 2 interceptions. So a nice ratio for the quarterback right there.
Yeah, Jamison Roach is the listed quarterback for Adams Central, a junior. He has over 1,000 yards on the ground. He leads the team also, again, has the bulk of those passing yards for 980. 36 total touchdowns for the junior. Vance Miller, a name to watch out for. The fullback, Thomas Laughlin as well. Cam Fravel's in. Xander Schwartz, Reese Hammond, Braylon Reber also highlight the defense. A couple guys playing both ways as well. But yeah, you said some keys to the game for Andrea, and yes, has to get Adams Central off of schedule. They're at home, which is nice, and a team that they're familiar with. But we saw with Andrean's defense last week, it was an uncharacteristic performance where maybe a couple guys were out of place and did not really live up to the part of what we've seen all this season. They're going to have to come with their chin straps buckled on this one here.
Yeah, and you got a quote right here from Coach Skinner: play with great technique across the board, physical and relentless. And that's the way it's going to have to be. They're a machine offensively. Great quote there, Coach Skinner. Defense must read keys and complete assignments. Just like I said a minute ago, they've got to make sure and stay in their gaps, stay focused, and like I said, try and get them behind the chains. Use their physicality, which they have been all season long. The number of possessions, like Coach Skinner said, the number of possessions will be less than normal because that offense of South Bend or Adams Central uses so much clock.
Yep.
And they keep the ball on the ground. If they can get a bunch of first downs together, they could have a ball for 6, 7, 8 minutes in a quarter.
And I wouldn't be surprised if what we saw last week with Andrain stealing a play more so on the special teams department. Also, the defense made a play, putting up points on the board. The special teams, that third phase of the game, may come into a part here. Gavin Jones, one of the top kick returners, had a kickoff return last week. But I think we'll end with this, Jay, unless you want to add some more. But Andrain, Adams Central, what's the breakdown on this one? Who we like?
I'm going to one key for Adams Central is I think you got to negate their special teams. I think, one, you punt the ball out of bounds, and two, you squib kick everything, get their rotation, get how their wall's set up and everything, get them out of their sync, and then that way it takes that special teams out of play for Andrain. So, we'll have to see what Adams Central will do. I think it's gonna be a very low scoring game. I'm gonna go with Andrain. I'm gonna go 14-10 Andrain.
Tyler Vo, a name to watch out for as well. Not only as a receiver, but I think he also returns punts, has a couple this year as well. A very, very exciting one once again. Adams Central, top team in the class. Andrain not too far behind them. Andrain trying to get back to the state finals for their first time since 2022, while Adams Central hoping to go back-to-back as state champions. Again, that game will be on around 7 o'clock. Again, we'll have the audio broadcast on Facebook, on YouTube, and regionsports.com.
And I printed out the schedules here, and one thing that I think is really, and we harp on this all season long about Andrain being a 2A school, once they get to playoffs, that's when they really start playing their 2A opponents. They are a 4 and 5A schedule throughout the entire season. Several times we've talked to Coach Skinner about that. You start off with Merrillville and Fort Wayne Lures back-to-back to open the season. It's a brutal schedule week in and week out for them. And this is where it's going to pay off this week.
We're excited. We're super, super stoked for not only this game, but another game not too far from there. Believe it or not, Jay Simmons and I will be back in action, seeing each other once again. We saw each other on Tuesday. We called a game with each other. Now we're here on Thursday. And if that wasn't enough, Jay and I will be boots on the ground at the Purple Palace at Merrillville High School as they will host the Concord Minutemen. We'll start with the visitors, Concord. This is we actually ran into Coach Bartolomeo. We did the Porter County Trades Day, and he kind of put it to a T, but he said, he's seen Merrillville and he's seen a little bit of Concord as well. And you kind of look in the mirror, if you will. Two very fun offenses that put points upon the board and two defenses that get the job done. Concord, though, a team that can run the football as well, over 3,000 yards on the year, and a team that is trying to make some history of their own.
Yeah, and you look at Concord, their quarterback, who is a dual threat. He has 101 rushing attempts rushing, 785 yards, 14 touchdowns on the ground, and then to go with that, he has 14 passing touchdowns, so 28 touchdowns go through their quarterback, Bo Brenner. He's 139 for 193 in passing, 1,900 yards passing, and he only got 5 interceptions.
The future beacon as well, Valparaiso commit, so that's awesome to see. He'll be doing some things locally, but again, against the Merrillville defense that's hoping to kind of negate that. But this is an offense that does not run just through Bo Brunner. Therese Rivard, a senior, do it all back. A little bit of receiver, but these guys are quick. They are two-sport athletes. I know Brunner, I believe he runs track. I believe Rivard does as well. The senior, 1,300-plus rushing yards, also has 439 receiving yards, 28 total touchdowns to his name as well. So right there, if I'm Merrillville, if I'm Coach Cease, we're keying in on those guys.
That's right, and you know, I want this guy. I want that running back on my fantasy football team. He's a go-to. He's a first rounder for sure. And then you got a backup, and Derek Gomez has 37 catches, 600 yards receiving, and 4 touchdowns. But not only through the air, but on the ground, he has 63 carries, 581 yards, 5 TDs on the ground. So he's sort of like their Swiss Army knife.
A little bit about, but like you said, there's a lot of versatile guys on this team, a lot of talent, a lot of speed. But then it gets to the point where these guys are so talented that they're playing both ways. And when you're kind of at this point in the season, it could be a blessing and a curse. Where yes, you kind of get the wear and tear, but also right off the bat, I think I like Merrillville's depth maybe a little bit more than Concord, where again the quarterback is playing both ways. We got, again, the do-it-all back we talked about. That would be a first-round pick in Jay Simmons' fantasy draft. He plays a little bit of defense as well in the defensive backfield, and Derek Gomez, the leading tackler. So you have kind of those top three pieces offensively right off the bat. They're going to be standing on the field when the ball switches hands.
Yeah, and the thing is with Merrillville's team speed on offense, they're going to be wore out just playing defense, and it's going to be a long night for the Concord team.
But all these numbers, Jay, everything we could say, and there's something about this semi-state round of the Merrillville Pirates. They don't mix quite well. They've lost the last 10 appearances, and we hate to bring it up, but it's the truth, and it's just one of those things where it's just, is this the team? Is this the team to break through? And we talked about with Coach Bart LeMail. We ran into him. We also, fortunate enough, Jamal Cherry, the starting tackle for the Merrillville Pirates, sat in with us, talked about the game a little bit, and he was confident as well. And, I mean, this team is, they're one of those teams that they know what's at stake. They know that they've been here before and now trying to, again, get over the hump, something we've heard quite some time with this squad.
Well, and one of the things is it seems like the last few years Merrillville has been on the road at semi-state. I remember several times that
took on Warsaw, yep.
And we've been on the road covering them, and it just seems like this is a huge break for them to be at home this weekend. I think that's gonna propel them to be a little bit more successful than what they've been. But what program would not be head over heels to make it 10 times to semi-state? So, I mean, kudos to the Merrillville program. Yes, they've got to get over this hump. And yes, it would be nice to break through that ceiling. But kudos to that program for consistency.
I would say so. But that goal is
every year. Right? Yes, it is that goal.
But it is true. Looking at that glass half full mentality, but they're trying to fill the whole dang thing up, if you will, and trying to get to Lucas Oil Stadium. But I'd say another key, or at least a nice statistic that may benefit the Merrillville Pirates, this defense, looking at least on paper, 15.1 points per game to Concord. There's been some high-scoring affairs. We looked at last week against Lafayette Jefferson. They gave up a fair amount of points. So those numbers, points allowed per game, 15.1 to 22.7. And again, Merrillville's defense to be able to walk out of the school, get a good bite, and then not have to hop on a bus for a couple hours, that helps them, I'd say, a little bit as well.
The thing about Merrillville defense is they're aggressive. They like to load up man-to-man coverage-wise in defense and then shoot some linebackers in there. And if they can get some pressure and get the Concord Minutemen, I love that.
Great mascot name.
Yeah, and get him off of his spot and force him to either throw on the run or tuck the ball and run. I know he's effective as a runner, but if they can get him off of his spot and force him to throw on the run, I think it's going to be a long night for the Minutemen, especially offensively. And then you've got to go and look at the Merrillville offense. You got Michael Hill, 227 completions, 348 total passes, 3,090 yards.
That's a big mark.
28 TDs, and you got to love this. Only 9 interceptions out of those passes. And then he does it with his feet. We've seen him do it. He's 77 carries, 638 yards, 6 TDs. So 34 touchdowns through the air and with his feet. That's the guy I think Minutemen have got to stop right there in his tracks.
The Doolin Offensive Player of the Year, yeah.
And then you got J.Q. Johnson, 158 carries, 1,065 yards, 12 touchdowns. This offense is just very diversified in terms of if you take one thing away, they're going to focus on the other thing. And we've seen them throughout the season. Teams have focused on the running game. All of a sudden, Hill just tears them up through the air. And then all of a sudden you see him focus on JQ. Then all of a sudden Hill takes care of it with either his feet or his arm. So they are just great at either aspect of the game.
Cameron Jordan as well. Watch out for him, a do-it-all guy. Good receivers, of course, as well. Jordan is one to catch passes. Mikhail Smoot, Rhino Lewis, a couple others. Darnell Bowles. The possibilities are endless with what is a high, potent Merrillville offense. But, Jay, I guess I can't really ask you for a prediction.
I'm not going to give you an answer.
You and I will both be at the game, but I guess what are you most excited for in that one?
I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. It's going to be a fun one. We might bring a cup of coffee. We might be there a while because of all the scoring.
We'll make it 2. Why don't you? So that game will be at 6:30. Again, Jay Simmons and I will be on the call. Again, these games, the audio broadcasts of these games will be found on Facebook, on YouTube, and regionsports.com. Again, we have Adam Central at Andrean for a 7 o'clock kick, and then Jay and I will be at Merrillville High School for them taking on Concord around 6:30. Jay, any final thoughts as we are just about at the end of our program and more so gearing up for what should be a fun semi-state Friday?
I'm looking forward to the games this weekend, and Mike, I'm looking forward to us carrying or doing a lot of coverage of local high school basketball, boys and girls. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great season, both what has happened this past season and looking forward to the basketball season.
That's right. They say winter is coming, but winter is here. Actually, we got 2 games on Saturday as well, so be sure to look out for that. We'll have plenty more before the holidays, and then who knows, maybe sometime next week, maybe not on Thanksgiving, Thursday next week, but who knows, we might be have another problem come next Friday and Saturday if teams make their way to state. There's only one way to find out, and that will come tomorrow night. So for Jay Simmons, for Zach Miller, that'll do it from us here at Region Football Weekly. Again, feel free, be on the lookout for all of our socials, for the Strachan Van Til Hometown Scoreboard, for our 2 games going on, and then as well as Saturday, as we will have a couple basketball games. As well as we'll provide updates all tomorrow night. Zach Miller will be helping us out in that regard on the social media platforms. And then, Jay, you and I will once again be back here to kind of wrap things up, maybe a couple others here at the Athletic Performance Factory late tomorrow night. That'll do it from us here at the Athletic Performance Factory. Thank you all for tuning in to Region Football Weekly, all made possible by Tire Pros in Merrillville. This has been a production of the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
For 26 years, Armor Construction has been beautifying homes across Northwest Indiana. From expert roofing and durable siding to eye-catching custom copper work, Armor Construction does it all with the highest quality and integrity. Serving Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties, trust the best exterior construction company in Northwest Indiana to protect your investment.
With offices in Munster and Cedar Lake, Ethos Dental Group offers a full scope of general and cosmetic dentistry with expertise ranging from porcelain veneers to dental implants, crowns, and bridges. At Ethos Dental Group, you're assured that Dr. Mark Stojkovic and his associates, Dr. Emily Hansen and Dr. Brian Douts, utilize the latest in technology. Check out ethosdentalgroup.com or call 219-595-3432 to schedule an appointment. Ethos Dental Group, dental care you can believe in.
Life isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet moments that matter the most. Of effort, of a dream taking root. And behind those moments, there's trust. Thank you for trusting Centier Bank with those moments and making us a part of your story. Thank you for the opportunity to earn your trust.
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, put.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.